So hi all, welcome to CodeCorp again. So today is part 4 video of Masterclass from Scratch Spring Boot series. So in this video, we'll talk about CRUD APIs. So here we'll create a new CRUD API from scratch. So in the previous video, we have talked about creating a connection between MySQL and Spring Boot. If you have not watched that video, just please go and have a look on that. You'll be getting an idea like how to download MySQL Workbench or any database and how to connect it to DB. So before starting the video, let's have a look and understand what is a CRUD API. Okay, so as you can see, CRUD APIs means it is the combination of 4 operations. One is create, read, update and delete. So after picking up the 4 letters from all these operations, we have made the word CRUD. Okay, so what is it? What is CRUD operation and what are all these operations? We'll explain in this video. So if you don't know like what is this procedure, just watch the previous video. Here I've explained like what will go in what order we'll create these services. So first we'll create controller, then service, and then repository, or maybe first repository then service, and at the end we'll create 5 endpoint for CRUD operations. I'll explain you what are these. So CRUD means like so in the first thing we create an employee and save it to the DB. And what does read means? Read means like suppose you are giving me an ID and I have to fetch you the employee. Suppose you are giving a request to the postman like find me the employer, find me a movie with ID this, then it will return you a movie object. And update means suppose you are having a movie table or an employee table, so you want to update salary of that particular employee. So in that case you will give a update request and you will pass that new salary to that object and it will get updated in the database. Similarly, as you can understand from the word also, it means delete. So you'll pass an ID and that particular record will get deleted from the database and you will no longer to access that particular record. Okay, so in this particular video I will create a movie controller. So here we'll be having these 5 operations. So as you can see, this post operation will represent the create. So it will create a movie if that does not exist in the database, and put operation will update the existing movie, and here in this get operation will pass a movie ID and it will return a single movie by the ID provided. In the delete operation you will pass a movie ID and you will delete that particular movie with that ID. And here for this operation, if you will go hit this URL from a postman link, then you will be able to see the list of all the movies. Okay, so I think we are ready to go inside Eclipse and understand the code, like how are we gonna do this. So here you can see in the previous video I have created this employee table. So as most of the people are showing all these CRUD operations with this employee example, we are gonna do something different. We'll create a movie table and we are gonna do all the operations with this movie example. You can also do all of these operations with any of the entity class, whatever you want. I'll just gonna take this movie entity class. So what do we need to create this? Okay, so as we can already see in our this Figma page, we will first need a repository. We have created the entity. Now we need a repository for that. Okay, so how will we do that? We'll just need to go here and we'll create a new class and we'll call it a movie repository. We'll call it movie repository. And sorry, it will not be a class, this will be an interface. So let me change this here. It will be an interface. I is small. As it is a repository and it's gonna directly connect to the DB, and to make the Spring of that thing understandable, we'll use this repository annotation that is called repo annotations. That is repository. So there are some features that are already, or I would say there are some functions that are already written in this JPA repository. So we are going to use those functions because our requirement is just to create, update, read and delete. It is nothing complicated. So all these operations, we are having some methods there. We are going to use them. So for that purpose, we'll extend this JPA repository. Extends JPA. If you will do control click, and if you will able to see here, you can pass this. So here you have to find like pass your entity object. So you can pass there movie, okay, that we have just created, and here you have to pass the primary key of that particular entity. So here we are having this particular ID key there. So we have to pass the data type of this particular key, that is long. So we have to pass the long here. Here I'll type long. So what are the operations that are there inside JPA repository? You can just control click and you can see there are multiple options: save and flush, save all, delete all in batch, iterate all. If you will do control O here, you can see there are multiple operations are there: get one, get by ID, find all, find by ID. So these are multiple operations that are there in JPA repository, which we can use in our implementation. So here this is done. So now what do we need? We have this repository layer that is done. So now what we need? Then we need service layer. Okay, because repository gonna is talking with DB. Now service layer will talk with repository layer. So we have to create a class that will be repository. So I'll go here and I'll create a class that will be MovieService. And again, for the same purpose which we have annotated repository with the @ repository, we have to write @service here, because it will be a good practice. So if we have written here, so what we have to do, we have to, because service layer cannot directly connect with DB, it needs repository layer. So we have to create an object of, we need to auto wire the object of movie repository. Okay, so this is done. Now what we have to do, we have to implement all the methods that we are gonna call. So for now, just do it like this only, then we'll create methods later. So we have to create 4 methods here, CRUD. We have to create methods for each of these operations here inside service layer. Now what is remaining? Remaining is our that controller. So we have to go into new class and we have to write a name, our CRUD controller, or like movie controller. So I am calling it a CRUD controller. Okay, and we have already done this in our first video in which we were hitting some endpoints. So we need this REST controller here, and we need this REST request mapping here. So our application will be find at localhost at this particular request mapping. So if I will write here like CRUD, then our application will be running at this particular URI. So here we'll be having 4 operations. So as similarly, we have auto wired the movie repository inside this service. We need to auto wire service inside that controller, because it cannot directly connect to that repository. So here also we will do a auto wire, and what will be auto wire? We'll auto wire that service, private movie service, movie service. Okay. So just until now, what we have done, we have created a controller here. We have auto wired a movie service, and inside movie service we have auto wired this movie repository. And what movie repository is doing, it is directly getting connected with database, or I would say repository, JPA repository. So I think up till here it is clear. So now we'll move toward the operations that we are going to perform. So first we are going to perform create operation. Okay. So what I will do here, we will be hitting a particular endpoint with post mapping. So post mapping is to post data onto our server. Okay, and get mapping is to get data from our servers. So if I am using this post mapping, and here I am, what are we gonna call this endpoint? So I'll call it like movie. Okay, so here we are gonna post a movie. So I'll give a name to it. Public. So we are creating, I will add a name, create movie, and the return type will be movie. So whatever we are inserting in the DB will return that only. Okay. So create movie I have written, and whatever we are passing a parameter here. So earlier we were using path variable, whatever we are passing inside these paths. Okay, so whatever we are passing here inside this, we are using fast variable for that, and whatever we are passing x and y for that particular addition and multiplication, so we'll pass that request parameters. So here we are passing an object. So if we are passing an object, we use this particular annotation, that is request body. So here I'll write movie m. So my object is directly getting passed to this particular endpoint. So my object is ready here. what I need to call? I need to call a method that is there inside MovieService, which is gonna save this particular movie object. So I have not created that method yet. So let me create that method. So I'll annotate it with, like, let me write command create. Okay, what it will do? It will what it's gonna return, I think it should also return movie, because it will get passed to the controller and then it will pass to our postman. So here a movie object will it will gonna receive a movie object, and that movie object is gonna get saved using the save function of our repository, movie repository. If I'm gonna do save, and if I'm gonna pass m here, then this movie is gonna get saved here. And if we are returning this movie object, so I'm gonna return this particular save command as well. So I am returning it as save. Then this particular object is gonna get returned. Whatever it is getting saved inside this repository, it's gonna get returned from here. Okay, so now we have, as we have created this create operation, what we need to do in control, we need to call this operation from the service layer. So what I will do, I will write return MovieService dot create movie, and I'll pass the movie here. So our create operation is pretty much done. So let's try to run it if it is getting inserted in our DB or not. Okay, so first we'll check whether the table gets created or not. As employee is already there, we need to check whether it is creating a movie table or not. And after creation, we'll try to hit this endpoint with movie object, a JSON object that we're gonna get here, pass to the service, and then it's gonna pass to the this particular repository, and the repository is gonna interact with DB and gonna save it directly. That is what happening here in this scenario. Controller is gonna pass to service, service is gonna talk to DB, and DB is gonna interaction with repository is gonna get interaction with DB. So that is what we have done through code just now. So let me try to run it. So we'll right click, run as Spring Boot application. Let's see what has happened in our DB. So if I'll click, I'm running this show tables. You can see movies table has been created because we have given movies here in the name. Okay, so it is done. Now let's try to hit that particular endpoint. Okay, so what is our endpoint? Our endpoint is CRUD/movie. Okay, so we'll go to the postman, and here you can see I have typed this localhost 8080 CRUD movie, and it headers I have given content type application JSON. You can also give the same, and in the body I have checked this raw, and I have passed simple JSON. Title Inception, I have given the movie name Inception, I have given the genre as sci-fi, and I have given the director name Christopher Nolan, and I have given the ratings 8.8. Let's see what happens if I am sending this data. What I should get a data that is getting saved in the system. Okay, if I click on send, so here you can see I'm getting a 200 response, which is like it is getting saved. And if I am heading here, I'll see in the database ID should be 1, title should be this, and this data should be present in our database. Let's check. So as you may already know, we have a select query. We can write select query to get the data from table from movies. If I am writing this, I'm running this command, then you can see if I'm running this command, you can see ID 1 Christopher Nolan sci-fi 8.8 Inception is already getting entered, has been got entered in the DB. So I think our create operation is working perfectly fine. Okay, so now we can write read operations, or maybe we can send some more data so that we can get read particular data with ID or all the list of movies particularly in our JSON or in Postman. So let me send few more movies name here. So I'm giving some of the data here. Second movie that we are gonna send to our post request is Deadpool and Wolverine. Genre is action superhero. Director is Sean Levy, and rating is 8.2. So let's see if it is getting added to our DB or not. So if I'll click on send, so I am getting this response as ID2, and I think it is getting saved. And if I'll click and run this command again, so you can see there are two movies now. Christopher Nolan's movie name, title is this Deadpool and Wolverine. So these are getting saved. Okay, so I think our data is getting saved perfectly. Let's send few of the movies at the Dark Knight as well. So as you can see, I have added 6 movies, and if we'll go to the database and run this select star from movies, then I'll be able to 6 movies. You can see 6 entries are there with IDs and all. Okay, so I think we have pretty much the data is there. So let's stop this application, and now we can keep creating our controllers. Okay, so now create is done. Let's write the read operation. So if we'll do read here, so in read we'll be performing 2 of the operation. At first operation we'll be getting a list of all the movies. So here all the movies, and we'll be getting list of movies by ID, or get movie by ID, movie by ID. So we're gonna pass a ID here, and the data from that particular ID name should get populated in our post. Okay, so let's do the get mapping. If I'll do get mapping, and the path is slash all movies, I'm hitting this particular endpoint, all movies, and what it's gonna return? It should return me list of all the movies. So list movie, it's gonna return me get all movies. We are not gonna pass anything to this, so let's add list from that and type it to movie. So it's gonna return a list of all the employees. So what I'm gonna return service, that is we are having MovieService dot find, or I would say find all movies, or let's say get all movies. Okay, so we need to create this particular method in this service layer. So let's do it. Create method. You can see here it should return list of all the movies. So let me run it. Let me return from repository. We are gonna use one of the method that is there, find all. You can see find all method is there, so it's gonna return all the data from that particular table. So let's see if this endpoint is working or not. Okay, so let's run my application again. Let's check once more and then we'll run in the end only. Okay, so let's see if this endpoint is working or not. So get all movies. What is the endpoint here? All movies. We have to do just nothing. We have to give just all movies here. So I'll duplicate this tab. I'll give post map get mapping, and I'll be giving here all movies. Let's send. So here you can see I'm getting all the data perfectly. ID1 Inception, ID2 Deadpool and Wolverine, ID1 Inception, ID2 Deadpool and Wolverine, ID3 Interstellar, 4 Matrix and all. So data that is there in our table is getting directly here from the get all, from the find all method. So I think that endpoint is also working fine. Let's create all the endpoints, then we'll run each of them in the end. Okay, so all the movies are getting added here. Now we have to find the movie by ID. Implementing any checks, we'll do that later. Like if ID does not exist in the database, then what we should return, I'll do that later. Okay, so let's do it now. So if I am returning get movie, and here at the rate path variable, we are getting long ID. We have to return MovieService dot find by ID, and here I am passing ID. Okay, this method is not there. We need to create in movie service. Let's create it. Here you can see it's returning a movie. So what we have to do, return MovieRepository dot find by ID. Here I pass the ID. Now this should return the data. Change method return type to optional. So this might get returned null, so it is handling it by itself. So here it is returning optional of movie, and if we'll go back to this CRUD controller, so it's gonna give us error handling. So if I can say if I'm gonna get torrent is present, then what we're gonna return movie dot get. Okay, so if it is there, if the employee ID is present there, then we should return this employee there. Otherwise we have to return null. Null means that movie is not there. Okay, we can return a better message there, but we'll look at it later. So I think this is also done. So I think we are done with create and read. We'll try to do now update. So we'll do update now. What we are passing to so in update we are passing a path variable. We'll pass a path variable here with this ID that will tell the controller like update the movie which is having this ID. To what we should update, we'll pass a object there. Okay, so like suppose we are passing, in this database, I would say here, suppose I want to change the rating of this particular Inception movie. I want to update it to 10. So what I will pass this ID1 in the path variable, and I'll pass this whole object in our movie object. Okay, so let's do that. So here if I'm updating, so I'll pass here, it will be a put request. So let's see, @put mapping. So what we are passing here, movie is there. Okay, ignore this. Put mapping. Here I am passing this put mapping ID / ID, or we can give slash update movie / ID. We can give like this. That will be more readable. Okay, so what we will return from here, we'll return a movie object only after the updation. Otherwise, if this ID does not exist, in that case we'll return null. Okay, so let's do it. Movie, I'm giving the method name update movie, and in here I'll give ID update movie. So here the method name is update movie, so here I'm getting the ID from path variable long ID, and we'll be getting an object with which we are updating this IDs movies. Okay, so at the rate request body, we are getting an object of movie type, so movie M. So here I have get both the things. So now what we'll do, I'll update that particular object. So we have to create a update movie method in our service layer. So here let me take this an example, movie updated movie is equal to MovieService dot update movie, and here I'm going to pass ID and movie object. So I'll get this updated movie object in this updated one. Okay, so let's sorry, not movie, it is M. So this method we need to create in our service layer. So here I'll be creating this in service layer, remove this, and here in the service layer we'll call the repositories method that are all existing there. So firstly, what we need to check, firstly in our DB we need to check whether a movie with this ID exists or not. Okay, so if it is not existing, then in that case we need to return null or something else. Okay, so here we'll do that like this. We'll get movie repository dot find by ID, and here I have given the ID here. We need to store this movie object in our movie object. Suppose we are getting it in null or not, whatever we are getting. So it is asking to change the movie type to optional so that we can handle the nulls. Okay, so now we have an optional of movie in which we are getting, if it is present in the DB, then it will return an object, and if it is not, then it will be a null object. Existing movie here. So in that case, I'll be getting, if movie is existing, then I'll be getting something in this optional, otherwise I'll be getting a null. Okay, so here let me write the code for that. So if existing movie dot is present, then in that case what I will do, we'll do the updation, else we'll return this null. Okay, else we are returning null here. So let's write. So suppose we got the movie, or movie is there. So now we need to get the updated movie from this our object, updated movie updated movie. Because we are going to return this updated movie object. So what I will do, I will get the existing movie dot get. Now the movie that were existing in our database, so now the movie that was existing on our database will come into this variable updated movie, and now we have to update the data, whatever we got in our movie object. We need to pass that to updated movie. Updated movie will set director from m.get director. So like this we'll do for all the operations. So updated movie dot set title, or I would say set title, then m.get title. So like this we need to update our movie here. Set director, set genre, m.get genre. And one more thing is left, that is updated movie dot set title is done, genre is done, rating is done. So we were updating rating only, get rating. So now everything is there in this our movie object. Now what we need to do, we need to call repository save method that is by default update the existing movies. If it is already exist with that ID, then it updates the data. So we don't need to do anything. If any movie is existing with that ID and we are saving it again using the repository.save method, then it's gonna update already that. It will not create a new data, it will by default update that data. So here I will do movie repository dot save updated movie, that by default this object will gonna get updated at this ID in the DB, and we are gonna return this particular object also. Okay, so I hope you are following me up. What we have done, first we need to search whether this movie with this ID exists in our system or not, in our DB or not. So for that, what we have done, we have raised the query with find by ID, and if we are getting any data in using this is present, then we are updating that data to the object that we got in our request to, and we'll do a MovieRepository.save on that object. Otherwise we'll return null. Okay, so I think this is also done. So update movie, and here have given on this controller we need to return something. I need to return updated movie here. Okay, so if we are getting null, it means that the movie with that exit does not exist, and if we are getting an object, updated object with that ID, it means our task has been done successfully. So now only the last thing that is left, that is delete. We need to delete a movie with ID. Okay, so for that I don't think we need to do anything. We'll just use the delete mapping here, and we'll pass that movie, or let's have a separate URL for this as well, delete, and we'll pass the movie ID here. And what we'll do, we'll create a method public. If ID exists, we'll be returning like successfully deleted, and if it doesn't exist, so we'll be returning a string. So if that movie with that particular ID is existing in our database, then we are gonna delete that movie, and in response we are gonna return a string that will be telling like movie is deleted, movie with this ID has been deleted. Otherwise what we'll do, otherwise we'll return like movie with this ID does not exist. So we'll write like that here. Okay, so here if I am creating this method delete movie, and I am having a path variable here as well, so that is long ID. So let's check. So string response is equal to, we'll call our service, and we'll create a method there, delete by ID, and we'll pass our ID here. But this method does not exist, so we need to create a method there that is created. So what we'll do, we'll need to give a check whether the movie with this ID exists or not. So to check whether movie with this ID exists or not, we'll return, will give us a similar line of code we have to write. So we'll write it like that only. Find by ID, movie exists. If existing movie is present, if movie existing is present, then we need to delete it. Then we need to call the movie repository and delete by ID, and we have to pass the ID here. Okay, and then we have to return like movie with ID deleted. Okay, otherwise we need to return like movie with ID does not exist, movie with given ID doesn't exist. We are given this logic here only. Okay, so in controller what will we return now? We'll return this response directly. Okay, so I think pretty much all the operation has been done. So let's check our logic whether it's working fine or not by running the application. So I'll run this Spring Boot application. So as you can see, we already have data in our database. If I will go here and select start from movies, then all the data is there. So what we have to test now, we have to test all the operations. So in the post mapping, I want to add the Dark Knight Rises as a new movie, then I will have to send. And currently we are having 6 movies in our database. This must add another movie in the database, that will be 7. Okay, so now 7 movie has been added in our database. That is Dark Knight Rises. So 2 movies are there. 7 movies are there. So now we'll test each of the operation one by one. So we have just tested the CRUD operation, so it is working fine. Create operation is working fine. Now we have to test the read operation for all the movies. So we have to give this particular URL here, find all movies. So here I'm giving this. So I'm getting the data for all the movies, ID 7, ID 6, ID 5, every data is coming. So I think it is also working fine. So now we have to check with this whether we are able to get the movie with ID or not. So we have to hit this endpoint movie /ID. So here I'll duplicate this tab, the get tab, and here I'll hit the movie /ID. I'll give 7. So I should get the Dark Knight Rises here. Okay, it is giving 404 not found. Let's see what's the issue. So the endpoint is not movies, it's movie. So we have to give the same endpoint here. So if I'm giving endpoint name as movie, then I'll have to get. So I'm getting the data now perfectly fine. So let's move toward the next topic, that is foot mapping. Okay, so we need to update the movie which is having something ID with the object that we are passing. Okay, so we need to hit this endpoint. So we have to go this post, and I'll duplicate this tab, So I'll have to just pass the URI here. So whatever URI we are having, let me pass that. We are having update movie /id. So CRUD /update movie /id 2. So the movie which is having ID 2, I'm gonna update this. Deadpool and Wolverine, that is there. So I have to update the rating. I'll update the rating to 8.9 or something else. Okay. So here I'll go here, and in the body I'm getting this Dark Knight Rises. So I have to take this as from here. Whatever I want to update, I need to take the data. So post mapping update movie 2 to this data. I'm gonna update it to 8.9. Okay. Let's see if we are able to update this to 8.9. So currently we are having 8.2 ratings. We will update 8.9. Let's see if I'm hitting this URL. Okay, I'm again getting this URL not found. It is a post CRUD update movie / So I have given 2 slashes here. I need to give 1. So if I'm again hitting it, not found. Update movie map CRUD /update /2. What is the issue here? Okay, so the issue is it is a put mapping. Okay, but we are passing post request, so we need to change it to put. And now if I will able to hit it or not, let's check. So I'm able to hit. The data has been changed to 8.9. So as you can see, if I will again run this query, then I'll be able to see that rating has been changed to 8.9. So I think this is also working fine. So let's move on toward the last point, that is delete mapping, in which we need to delete a movie with ID. So let's delete movie number 7. Okay, let's add this as well and duplicate this tab. And here I have to add a delete function, and here I will give delete movie, DELET movie, DELET /ID, not movie. So let's give delete /7. So the movie that is there on the 7th point is The Dark Knight Rises. It should get deleted from the database. So let's see if we are able to hit it or not. It doesn't mean that. Okay, so we can clear this body as well because you're not passing anything there. So if I will run this, let's see, movie with ID 7 deleted. So this space thing is getting removed because we have not given a space in the return message. So the movie with ID number 7 is getting deleted. So I think the data must have got deleted. So we can have 7 IDs are there. If we will run this, we are only having 6 ID now. Okay, so our CRUD application is perfectly working fine. Let's check one more scenario. I will give an ID that does not exist in our database. So let's see what does it return for that. I'm giving ID number 10. So let's see what message do we get. Movie with given ID does not exist. We are getting the message that should come here. Okay, so I think everything is done. I'll push this code to GitHub, and later in this code we'll do some modifications, like we can handle the errors in much better way. Instead of giving these messages directly in the string form, we can give that to in the response entity form and all. But the main point of this video lecture was to make you understand like how the CRUD operations do work in the real-time environment or in the companies. How do they actually do these things? Okay, so I think it is pretty much everything for this particular video. If you like the video, just hit the like button and subscribe this channel for like latest videos on Spring Boot and APIs. And I'll meet you in the next video. Till then, take care and goodbye. Thank you.